Hello, Crellin. Okay, I'm going to show you really quickly on the computer how you can check your math that you calculated by hand to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit. It's pretty cool. Excel, this software program that you're using, is very powerful and can do the math that took you about probably, a couple minutes per problem, can do it in about a second. So it's pretty cool. What we're going to do first is kind of clean up the data sheets. And I had talked a little bit about this with the Sky Club members that were entering all the data. So some of these say like lower wetland, or they say vernal pool near the woods, vernal pool near the stream. Some people put vernal pool garden. And so what I did was I just cleaned all those up. And so they all have the same names. They're either upper treatment pond or lower treatment pond, and they're either the natural vernal pool or the man-made vernal pool. And of course, Snowy Creek is Snowy Creek, and the wetland is the wetland. And I'll show you why it's important to do that in a little bit. But first, let's get back to converting from Celsius to Fahrenheit. And we'll try and do the reverse, Fahrenheit to Celsius as well. Okay, so the neat thing about Excel is you have all these columns of numbers, and you can enter in formulas, and it will help you do the math. So in this case, we're wanting to calculate what 4.75 equals in degrees Fahrenheit. And so the formula that you guys used was probably some variation of you multiply that number by 9, and then you divide it by 5, and then you add 32. Now, I'm guessing that you guys might have done this with whole numbers instead of using these pesky fractions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to round them up. And the computer does this for me automatically. So what I've done is I've highlighted these numbers, and I can go up here and it says delete a decimal place or add a decimal place. Now, when I delete a decimal place, watch what happens. 4.75, we have 5, so this would round up to 8, right? When I delete a decimal place, what happens? It rounds it up. So I'm going to do it again, so I get a whole number, 5. All right, so there we go. Whole numbers to do this math. Okay, so that makes it a little bit easier. And of course, if you ever want to change it, you can always go back. Okay, you just look for a symbol that looks like this. There's a couple little numbers, and they'll show you you can either add or delete. Okay, so the first thing we have to do when we're doing a formula is we hit the equal sign. And our formula says multiply by 9, and then divide by 5, and then add 32. So we're going to take our number, which is 5, and we're going to multiply it by 9. And in order to tell the computer that this is the first thing that happens, we need to put it in parentheses. When we do mathematical equations, parentheses are always the first thing we solve. So we do 5 times 9, and then we divide by 5, and lastly we add 32. And if I hit enter, it gives me 41. So if you were rounding your numbers, you can check that out. Now, the next one, we'll do the same thing again, but this time instead of typing in the number, I'm just going to click on the cell. And look what happens when I click on cells. Whatever cell I click on, a different letter and number combination display. And if we go C22, we go up here and you'll see all the columns have letters. So we go to C, and all the rows, which run this way, have numbers. So we go down to 22, and what do we get? 4. So C22 is just kind of a placeholder, and whatever number is in here is what it will use for the formula. So again, we have to do our Celsius times 9, and we're going to put that in parentheses so the computer knows we need to do it first. Then we're going to divide by 5, and then we're going to add 32. When we hit enter, we get this number. Now you'll notice, look at this, we've got decimal places, and that's kind of weird. The reason is because even though it only shows 4 down here, if you look up here, it knows that it's 3.86. So if you want, you can always round this up to a whole number to check your answer. Okay, that's one way you can do it. All right, we'll subtract that back out. So keep that in mind. If you're typing in the number, you're going to get a little bit different answer than if you use the cell. And that's just because it is rounding. Now, the nice thing about using the cell number instead of typing in the number is you can do really cool stuff that'll save you time like this. Alright, I know I have to do a parenthesis, so I'm just starting it out. It looks like a sad face, but it's an equals and a parentheses. I'm going to click on that cell, I'm going to times it by 9, and I'm going to close that parentheses. Then I'm going to divide by 5 and add 32. Hit enter. Okay, voila, I get the answer. Now watch this. If I click on this cell and I pull on the bottom right corner and I drag it all the way down, guess what it does? It answers all of them for me. So this was the last one I left off on. I did C23, and the computers are smart. They know I'm going down. And so what's under row 23? But row 24. And what's under 24? But row 25. And it'll keep doing that down. It's one of the really neat things that saves a lot of time in Excel. You can just pull down and it'll save you a ton of time because you don't have to type in those formulas. Now, if we want to make sure, we want to check your stuff to see if you've rounded correctly, we can just click like that and we get nice whole numbers. I can also do that to any of the other cells so that we're just working with whole numbers here, if that makes it a little bit easier to check your answers. Okay, it didn't like that. It didn't want me to do that because some of those were already whole numbers. Alright, there we go. So, that is how you can convert from Celsius to Fahrenheit using a formula in Excel. Give it a try.